You are listening to the Delay and Pray podcast, episode number 118.
Welcome to the Delay and Pray podcast, where certified Catholic and weight loss coach Beth teaches you how to permanently lose weight through spiritual fasting. Get ready to gain faith and lose weight through a joyful transformation of both body and soul. Now, your host, Beth, the Catholic fasting coach.
Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Today I have the privilege of interviewing one of my clients who is currently an alumni in the Keep Fasting alumni group. Her name is Ronda Baines, and she is an amazing client who consistently warms my heart. Oh my gosh, it is her beautiful face and smile along with her tenacity to learn how to spiritually fast for the good of the world and to please God that makes her such a rock star. Before she enrolled, she describes herself as desperate for change in her life. So she Googled Catholic fasting, and guess whose name came up? Yep, it was mine, along with Delay and Pray. And I'll just let her tell you the story, but that was the beginning of her beautiful journey with Delay and Pray. In this interview, she describes herself as slowly detaching from food. But when Christmas came this year, she saw sugar creep back into her life just a little. But then she became aware that she is more detached from it now, so she decided to pick up and keep going. As she tried harder, her understanding of fasting improved, as well as her connection with God for the good of others at a level she wasn't able to understand before the program. I cannot wait for you to meet her, so I'll begin with her bio and then we'll get right to the interview. For the past 29 years, Ronda has experience as an educator, a business owner, and a small business consultant, as well as a community and church volunteer. After leading an amazing team to launch a Hillsdale K-12 classical charter school, Treasure Valley Classical Academy, Ronda is now the development and outreach director for American Classical Schools of Idaho, a nonprofit corporation with the sole focus of opening more Hillsdale K-12 classical charter schools in Idaho. Ronda holds a Bachelor of Science degree in education from University of Idaho. Outside of work, she's a secular Carmelite, and Ronda lives with her dear husband of 35 plus years on their farm. They have 3 delightful children and 4 very entertaining grandchildren. So please welcome Ronda Baines, everyone. Hi, Ronda. How are you?
I'm well, Beth. Thank you so much for having me here today with you.
Oh, I love having you. And what's so funny is we just got off of a coaching call. So we were talking about all the things and I was coaching and it was really fun. And Ronda, you have been coached. You're very brave. As you have noticed, there are some people who don't get coached and there are some people who get coached a lot. And then there's people that kind of come in and out. You're in the middle ground there, but you were brave enough to get coached once in a while. And thank you for that. That's really wonderful. And when you're getting coached, other people are learning. But I think you learn the most when you get coached. Would you say that?
I absolutely agree with that. It's nice to participate, and I always learn when I'm in class and I can see you picking back the layers of the onion and revealing, getting to the root cause with your questions. And so I'm always really, really grateful for that. But when you have to be vulnerable, it's kind of like going to confession, right? You have to have that vulnerability to get coached because it's being recorded. And so, yeah, it's a time to be honest, right? It's a time to really reflect and be honest.
It is, because that's the only way we learn about ourselves is really peeling back the layers. And talk about honesty, it's very hard to do with ourselves. It's hard for me to do. I mean, I have a coaching group that I go to and I have a one-on-one coach. And I need them both because I like to tell myself lies sometimes. And it takes another person to just kind of keep asking you questions to peel back the layers of why we're doing what we're doing. And that is vulnerable, but it's wonderful when you can get to that root cause and then go to confession and get it all out.
Yes.
So let's start, Rhonda. Tell me about your story. Tell me why you chose Delay and Pray and me as your coach in the first place. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I appreciate you. I have struggled with my weight since I was a small child. I remember actually being put on my first prescription diet pill when I was in 5th grade.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And going to school, I was the kid that had the can of dry tuna fish and the half of grapefruit in my lunchbox. So I've just had this long, ugly, sordid journey with food and with dieting and body image and just a lot of baggage around that, a lot of self-hatred, and a terrible relationship with food and control. My mom was trying to do the right thing. She was really struggling to try to help me. But another part of my personality as willfulness is I didn't want my food to be controlled. So can't be this control issue. And so I've done every diet program on the planet ever outside of maybe Fen and Ozempic, maybe, but as far as programs, I've done Christian programs, I've done secular programs. I remember being hauled into Overeaters Anonymous when I was like 16 years old. And of course, they're talking about grown-up things, and
Yeah. Who hauled you into that?
my mom, she was trying so hard to help me.
Yeah.
Her heart was always in the right place. She was trying so hard to help me not go through some of the struggles that she had. But anyway, it was just a lot of pain and self-hatred, I think, coming through that
Yeah.
journey. And so I had gotten really, really sick a couple of years ago through some stressful situations. And I thought I would never work or travel again. I was so
Wow.
sick. Yeah. And so I started looking into my diet and removing sugar and studying William Davis. I think he's a cardiologist and he has a book, Undoctored. And I checked into that. And so I started to eat much more carefully, but I was still struggling with weight because it turns into a diet so quickly, right? It just turns into a diet. And so I was like, I keep failing. I'm a third order Carmelite. And we have fasting days during the year outside of, like before the fast for St. Teresa of Avila or before the feast day. So there's always a fast before a feast day. And I was just like, I'm not doing a very good job here and I want to. So I just put in Catholic fasting and you came up. So great job on your search engine optimization there because you just popped up and I started listening to your podcasts and I loved the idea of the spiritual with the food. And it wasn't, I've done programs in the past where it's like the spiritual fasting and setting yourself aside is really, really important, but you could eat whatever you wanted. God made all this food and you could eat whatever you wanted as long as it was, that your stomach was growling, which is awesome. That's a great parameter. And I was down to, at times in these programs, down to eating a saucer of food, maybe once or twice a day. So I was always neurotic, right? Kind of get neurotic.
That's not very much. Because we know it's not about calories, it's about insulin.
Yeah.
That's the crux of the matter. That's the problem. Yeah. So keep going. So then you came in, you sent me an email. It was very, very sweet. And you asked me some questions about it. And this is good because Rhonda, a lot of women do email and they ask, tell me about when the sessions are. And you said that you work full time and that you were in the mountain time zone and I'm in Eastern. So there's a time difference then. You wanted to know how much time is needed to do the program well. And then you said that my program is significantly more expensive than anything else. So what makes it more valuable? How amazing is that? How thorough are you? That is wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. And so I wrote you back and basically I told you that, you could coach on your lunch hour or you can coach in your car because Christine, one of the gals, she's in Minnesota. And as we're speaking, it's -13 there. And she goes out into her car with her mittens, gloves, and starts it up because she's in a cubicle at work. And she's like, can't coach there. She makes it work. And so I put all that down and then, we just figure it out, right? We do hard things. And that's what I told you in the email. I said, we do hard things. And then if you really can't make it, you can watch the replay, but you want to put that on the calendar. And then I told you that the amount of time needed is about an hour a day to help you write out a protocol, journal, and do all the things in the workbook that's necessary for success. And then I said, the other consideration you may want to think about is a sacramental life. And that's the minimum here is 1 daily mass a week outside of Sunday, 1 hour of adoration, weekly and monthly confession. And then I said, what you're paying for is the coaching program. It's very robust, comes with a 6-module course and a big workbook, but boy, the price has to be there to help you stay committed as well as the value of the coaching and Catholic materials. So it's interesting. And then you came right back and you said, I'm grateful for your time and attention. I'm going to sign up. The payment plan is really good for me.
You got to dip your toe in the water, right?
I love it. So I knew you were thorough. I knew you were going to do really well at this. But to be honest with you, it takes time, doesn't it? Because we are shifting from the diet mentality about my weight and how I'm affected and my worth. And it's all about me and what I'm doing. That's vanity, to the sanctity of being Christ centered and understanding that when I'm putting all of this sugar, this flour, this alcohol, the processed carbs into my body, it's raising my insulin and it's making it absolutely impossible to fast.
It's true. I think one of the biggest gifts is this idea that I'm denying myself for the love of God and for the love of my neighbor or my child or whatever my why that makes me cry is,
Yeah.
and when you're so attached to food and you've had so much baggage around food and dieting, when you look around, you're like, she's eating a candy bar. Why can't I have a candy bar? It turns into this pity party and the idea of sacrifice. And that's what's so beautiful about our faith is connecting to the cross and being able to deny oneself for the love of God and the love of people who need your prayers. So getting our eyes off ourselves is just in all areas, right? So this is just one area that will bleed out into the rest of our lives. So that's been such a huge gift for me.
Yeah. And I think that takes time to shift from the diet mentality to the Christ centered mentality of, okay, so I'm trying to get fit in body and soul. So if I'm going to do that, I got to change how I'm thinking. So we do a lot of thought work. And I know you're pretty good at the model and journaling, are you not? And the protocol. Tell us a little bit about that.
I have had so many gifts from the thought model. I mean, if you have goals and you're studying people out there, pretty soon you're hearing, oh, every thought, if you take this thought captive or what you think turns into your reality. But I've never had coaching that gave me a practical way. Yes, your thoughts change your life, but how do you do that in reality? The thought model is so practical for picking apart thoughts and behaviors. And I've just had a lot of drama around food
Mm.
and beginning to use that thought model to pick those thoughts apart have been, it's just a game changer. And I can coach my kids how to pick their thoughts apart. And what I'm finding, what the Lord has revealed to me is it's reducing, I'm very intentional in areas of my life, but when it comes to food, I'm very impulsive.
Mm.
And so this is reducing my impulsivity and increasing my intentionality. It's helping me learn to see wins. It's helping me to not focus on what has not happened. And so I'm slowly detaching from food. I'm slowly detaching from the need to have a great variety of tasty dishes, right? Learning how to embrace simplicity. People are always like, you got to have a party in your mouth. Why is that? I
Mm.
I was a good cook. It was,
Mhm.
it was how I loved on my family. My mom's a great cook. Her mom was a great cook, and you love people through making beautiful food for them and having people over and gathering around your table. And so just that hospitality.
Now, it is the hospitality piece is cool. Have you shifted yet into hospitality through this wholesome, amazing food that you can actually provide and that your family, I know you're quite new, but like my family now loves it. Like I make the best halibut, salmon, tilapia, mm, hands down. In fact, they can't even go to restaurants anymore because they're like, nobody makes it like mom. Okay, that's number one. Number two, the salads that I have come to make. In fact, the Super Bowl party just a while back, I took a chopped salad. Now, it did take me a while because I chopped everything tiny, tiny, tiny. It was supposed to be a chicken chop, but I wanted to make sure there was something for me there that I could eat. it just went down to the last tiny bites. And, it's just a shifting in the thought about how you actually are going to create food. I think that one of the hardest ones for me was like, I used to make cinnamon rolls. I used to make cookies a lot, breads, even gluten-free pumpkin chocolate chip bread, gluten-free this, that. And I kind of slowed my roll on that. I just had to. A banana cake,
Oh,
I make like one of the best ever banana cakes in the world. And it's the recipe. My mom helped me. We substituted some things, and it has like an inch of cream cheese frosting on it.
that's the kicker, isn't it?
And this would take me, we would eat it at Christmas with whole milk. And I would go down the scale in January and I would be like, this is years ago. And I'd be like, how in the heck am I up 8 pounds? I mean, yeah, back then,
It goes quickly. Yeah, it
yeah, it goes
absolutely.
really, my insulin, I'm very sensitive to insulin. I'm the opposite of insulin resistance. I'm very sensitive. So you can literally look at me and go, whoop, like I'll just blow up like a balloon because of all the water molecules that are, outside those glucose molecules. And then whoop, when I lost it and I was like, okay, this has got to go. This has got to go. So tell
I
me about that
totally agree with
experience with
yeah.
cooking.
Absolutely. I just was so totally into cooking and I would try to make things that were gluten-free or I'd try to make things that were more keto friendly and I had spoiled my family so much and my husband has always been thin and so it's like
Ugh.
brat could eat no fat. So anyway, we were kind of the odd couple, but anyhow, he doesn't really see the need, right? Because he doesn't think about getting thin or that he thinks he's healthy, right? He thinks he's
Yeah.
healthy no matter what he eats. And so trying to change our diet when I knew I needed to was really hard. I had a lot of pushback from my family. I think they know that this is the way we eat now. And I don't have any children at home anymore. So praise God, my husband has come alongside me and he'll muscle through what it is that I ask him to eat. And if he
Yeah.
needs a piece of bread, then he'll have a piece of bread. But
Yeah.
he's so good and appreciative. And so I'm really grateful for his support in that slow transformation of what it is that we're eating and the simplicity of trying to prepare the food ahead, have some hamburgers roasted that are in the freezer that I can whip out if I need to, or having taco meat that's already prepared that I can throw on a salad or
That is key
yeah,
right there.
yeah.
It's the prep of having hard boiled eggs, taco meat, hamburgers, steak, bacon. A lot of times, my husband now, he had a hard time transitioning as well, but now he's like, man, this hardly is a sacrifice. But I will say from my experience in my coaching that my husband and I, we work out on Friday nights and we really fast hard on Fridays. And it's a sacrifice. And at first, especially because all our friends were meeting at the bar because we live on a lake and, all the things were happening, right? And we were choosing to do something different. And it was a sacrifice. And we were always fasting for our children, our grandchildren, a neighbor, a problem at work, financial breakthrough, you name it. We were fasting for it. And so I think he has that now. It took him a little while to understand the sacrificial, redemptive, suffering nature of it. And Fridays were the absolute hardest for us, but it's brought us a long way, especially our marriage. It's just brought us a long way.
It's a huge gift. There's no question. And praise God for these really great guys that want to join in and support no matter what. So
Yes.
I'm very grateful.
Okay. So tell me about your weight loss. How are you doing? We try to go slow and very intentional. So tell us how you're doing with that.
I I don't do well. I don't do well with that. My weight came off, at least the first 15 pounds came off fairly early in my journey. And I've been bouncing around on a plateau for a long time. And it's really, you begin to question if you've set the appropriate goal. I think it can be a mind game. And the fasting on Wednesdays and Fridays has been, I wanted to jump in and do bread and water the first week, right? I want to
Yeah.
get right in there and get to the end, right? Point A to point B. And so learning to go, okay, with my underlying health conditions, I can't think when I do bread and water. I can't do my job. I get a migraine. I have to be really, really careful about how I do Wednesdays and Fridays. And I love your comments, Beth, about this is the great experiment, right? We're
Mhm.
always testing, you're getting on the scale. This is data. It's not an emotional roller coaster. This is data. And I chart my weight. I actually have a chart that's graph paper and it has the weights on the side and the dates across the top. And I'll write on there if my weight goes up, then I'll write down what, oh, it was the weekend and I messed up, or it was I ate out and it was, salt weight or something like that. I can usually see what's going on and I try to track it that way as well.
Well, it is interesting because as I'm learning more and more as well. I just took a class from Dr. Annette Bosworth on ketosis. I did her 21-day Kickstart Metabolism class. Learned a lot of doctors in there, and very technical, but we're going to do a Lent challenge. And I think it's going to be really great for you, Rhonda. I know that when I presented it, you said, oh my gosh, I'm in. So what's really interesting is I learned the value of fat in this class.
Mm.
And I always knew that avocados did really well for me. They always have. When I'm eating avocados, I'm losing weight. And so I was like, oh, that's so interesting. And so I really understood now that fat unlocks fat. So we need a little bit more fat. And I think it's going to help you with the migraines. I don't think some of us can go to bread and water right away. So we have to get our metabolisms healthy along this journey, along this great experiment. And once we meet that health, then we can go into a bread and water fast that the Blessed Mother is asking us to do. But at the same time, what does that bread look like, right? So what are the ingredients in that bread? And that's really essential. So it's kind of an interesting journey. But the Lent challenge, I think you're going to love it. And I think you're going to blow past this plateau that you're on. Especially we came out of Christmas, and sugar at Christmas is pretty hard with your first Christmas being in the program.
I would totally agree.
Yeah, yeah. And so I just love your honesty. And yeah, this is a challenge. I mean, spiritual fasting, we're casting out demons here. So it's not supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be like, eat anything you want, do whatever you want. No, we're retraining our brains how to feast. We're actually learning how to fast. And then we're actually trying to learn how to eat. And it's not a source of calories. It's intermittent fasting with a diet that is higher in fat and protein and vegetables than it is the carbs. In fact, it's very low carb. Keeps the insulin down, the glucose down, and the weight down.
Yes, absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah. So tell me what you're excited about with the Lent challenge coming up.
I am excited to be more. I was thinking even before you offered the challenge to really tidy up things like housekeeping, things like the protocol. And so I'm looking forward to the extra accountability, I think, for the Lent challenge. And I've struggled with the freedom of Sundays. And so the idea that we're not going to rest on Sunday, and I
Oh,
have friends that are going to be doing that with me, is a huge
yay.
encouragement. Yes. So
Yay.
I'm really, really excited about those two things. I'm excited about kind of before I didn't allow myself any kind of sweets or anything on the weekend. And then I started the program and I'm like, okay, this is a program. I'm going to do it the way that it's being done. And then trying to get off that mentality of I can have a treat on Sunday if I want to. That's been really, really hard for me backing off of that once I had the freedom. So the idea during Lent that there's going to be some help to back off of that, I'm really, really excited about because I've needed extra accountability on the weekends. So,
Yes. And I think what you're going to find is we're doing this in community as well. I love that you have a face-to-face smaller community right where you are. So we're all on Zoom. So we're doing this in community as well. But the point is too, is that there's going to be times when we need to pull back from that feasting and feast in other ways. So we're
yes.
thinking about feasting on cake and waffles and pizza and wine, but we can also feast on connection with others and all those oxytocin type of activities, nature, exercise with the dopamine and the epinephrine. And I mean, just like all the fun, like other type of hormones that are available to us beyond food. And when you first start that, you think, oh, this is not as fun as food. Well, it's not. It's not at first,
No.
but it's a sacrifice.
Right.
And you're
Yes.
sacrificing for someone else. You're giving it up for someone else. So we're going to try this new challenge during Lent where we're not going to have sugar, flour, and alcohol on Sundays, unless you have some type of vacation or event. I do have an event during Lent and I'll keep it super small, but I won't be as stringent. There's always one event during Lent. I don't know how that happens, but we don't vacation. We don't do things during Lent, but there's always something that kind of sneaks in. And I'm usually pretty good, but that'll be just the one little portion that won't be as stringent. But it'll be fabulous to go think about over 6 weeks without sugar, flour, and alcohol. What does that look like for you?
Well, I'm excited about it. Yeah, I see the weekends being much more focused on God, right? Because if you're
Yes.
focusing on my treat, right? My treat, my joy, my satisfaction, I deserve, right? You get all these great thoughts that you need to put in the model. And instead of God, I want to please you. I want to
Yeah,
eat this for your glory. And I want to, isn't it eat and drink all for the glory of God, right? So,
that's right. And we talk about coming out of that tomb on Easter morning
yes,
and
yes.
expecting the miracles, expecting to be resurrected, and that detachment from sugar, flour, and alcohol, processed food, the detachment from food will be amazing. And you don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect the entire time, but just for the most part, to be able to go through that journey of a little over 6 weeks. And then we're going to do a little bit longer fast during Holy Week, during Wednesday, Thursday, and then on to Good Friday. But we're going to really take it slow week by week. We'll ease into it and then see how that ketosis is working for everyone and try to get really metabolically healthy. And as I say, ketosis to kenosis to theosis. So as we empty ourselves of sugar, flour, and alcohol, then kenosis is emptying ourselves of the attachments to food, attaching ourselves to God in theosis. And I'm telling you, I think there's going to be some tears on Monday morning when we all meet the day after Easter.
I think it'll be beautiful.
Be
A huge
beautiful.
encouragement with everyone really having been through the fire and then on to the resurrection. So
Yeah, it's a great group of ladies right
it
now that
is.
are
Oh, absolutely. Very beautiful. Yes.
very
Very
fun.
beautiful.
Well, any parting comments? I want to thank you so much for being part of the group. It's been a delight to have you, your smile and your laughter every time that I'm talking. And you have your camera on and you're always attentive. And that I appreciate so much. And you've just done so well. So I just thank you for actually joining.
Oh, well, I appreciate you very much. And I support your work that you're doing 100%. I love that you have a vision for getting this message out to a million Catholics because our world needs it more than ever. And so I love the mission and I want to support it. It's certainly made a great deal of impact in my life. And I have to say, I have to just tell you how much the one episode where there were you and one other, I shouldn't say episode, I should say class, where
Hmm.
you and one other lady were talking about some unforgiveness in some family situations.
Hmm.
And that was right before Christmas. And even though I wasn't being coached, just your transparency about the idea of this forgiveness that needed to happen on such a elementary and deeply rooted issue, it unlocked for me a family issue. And it inspired me with God's grace to ask for forgiveness with my kids and to extend one particular family issue, extend forgiveness. And it was so freeing. It was such a
Mm.
beautiful gift. And you don't come to the program thinking, oh, I'm gonna learn how to do all these other things, but that was such a huge gift. And I wound up writing a letter to each of my kids for Christmases,
Oh,
their Christmas.
really?
And I'm going to continue that tradition year after year of just over the year, if there's anything that I've done that I need to ask for forgiveness, and I extend forgiveness for anything that kind of got snarled up during the year. And I have a beautiful family, but I want to just continue to draw us closer in God. And we're all trying to swim towards heaven. And
Mm.
so it was such a beautiful gift to have you be so transparent about that issue and to help this beautiful lady work through that as well. So there was a collateral blessing there. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, you're so welcome. And I'm telling you, forgiveness is the path to freedom. It actually frees us from going to food for comfort and alcohol for comfort as well. And
Absolutely.
our world needs it so badly. And the Lord says, you must forgive.
Yeah.
You must forgive so that I can forgive you. So I had to learn the hard way as well. That is one thing at the life coaching schools, both of them that I went to, they really honed in on forgiveness. So I had to learn it. And it's been so freeing. And then put on top of that spiritual fasting and the redemptive suffering of detaching from food, which is really hard, and alcohol. And then it's like a double. It's amazing. So,
It was really, really a beautiful gift. So I just wanted to
oh,
let you
good.
know how impactful it was and how
Ah,
much I appreciated it. So thank you for all the hard work that you're doing. I'm really grateful. And I wish God's blessing and mercy over your mission because it's what we need.
thank you, Rhonda. You are the best. And I will see you on Wednesday when we coach again. God bless you.
Sounds amazing. You as well.
Oh gosh, she was terrific. Are you ready to have the best Lent of your life? I mean, I think you should start now. It's time to get fit in body and soul this Lent. Lose that weight and revitalize your metabolism. It's time to get back into church, praying, and helping others. It's time. It is just time to not only do it for yourself, but for your families and for your spouse. It's time to be all that you were created to be. Lent is around the corner. It's the perfect time to begin. Don't let it pass you by. Start this year. Go to my website at thecatholicfastingcoach.com and sign up now for the wait list or enroll. It is really time to come alive in 2025 and lose that 25 pounds in 2025 for the last time. Well, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, please subscribe and even leave a 5-star review if you wouldn't mind so that others will hear the great message of spiritual fasting, get healthy, lose weight, and get back to the sacraments this year. Have a great week, my friends, and I will talk to you next week. May God bless you and keep you always. If you are interested in learning more about spiritual fasting and permanent weight loss, then come join my course, Delay and Pray, a 12-week guided course for weight loss through spiritual fasting. You won't go through it alone either. I will be there to coach you every step of the way. This is a group coaching program where you are part of an amazing community of like-minded Catholics who have the same goal as you, to bring about miracles while losing that weight permanently through spiritual fasting. Your purchase includes an online course detailing what spiritual fasting is, how to do it, and all the tools you need to get you the results you're longing for. Head over to my website right now at thecatholicfastingcoach.com and get the details on how to join. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and LinkedIn to always get the latest daily information to help you keep fasting, my friends. Can't wait to see you in there. May God bless you and keep you always.